was born in Kentucky in the year 1980 to her two parents, Sherry and Tommy Ballard. Crystal grew up in Bardstown, Kentucky, which is about 30 minutes northeast of Elizabethtown. When Crystal got older, she ended up getting married and having 4 children. Sadly, Crystal's marriage ended in divorce at some point. However, after her divorce, Crystal began dating a man named Brooks Houck. Crystal and Brooks ended up having a son together at one point in time. They moved in together with all of her children. So Brooks and Crystal, and then her 4 kids and their shared son. In the year 2015, Crystal was 35 years old, and her son with Brooks was 2 years old at the time. On July the 3rd, in the year 2015, Crystal's mother, Sherry, got a text from Crystal's eldest daughter, and her name was Kaylee. Crystal's daughter, Kylie, was asking her grandmother, Sherry, if she had heard from her mother, Crystal. Kylie claimed that she had texted Crystal earlier and still had not heard back from her, which was rather odd. Sherry then reached out to her daughter Crystal, but at first did not think much of it. Later that day, however, when Sherry heard back from Kylie, saying that she still had not heard from her mom, Crystal, Sherry began to grow extremely concerned. Several family members began texting Crystal to see if they could get a hold of her. However, all of their texts and calls went unanswered. At some point as well, on July the 3rd, Sherry was driving when she happened to see Crystal's boyfriend driving around Brooks. So Sherry pulled in front of Brooks and basically had him pull over as she walked up to his truck. There, Sherry asked if Brooks knew where Crystal was, as they were unable to get a hold of her. Sherry thought it was odd as she was asking this question that she saw Brooks and Crystal's 2-year-old son pop his head around the corner in the back seat. For whatever reason, Brooks was not usually with their child. Crystal was the one who typically handled their son. Brooks then told Sherry that he had not seen or heard from Crystal since the previous night. He stated that he and Crystal had gotten into a small tiff, but that he saw Crystal on her phone playing games the night of July the 2nd when he went to bed himself. Brooks then told Sherry that when he woke up the next morning, Crystal's car was gone, and Brooks assumed that Crystal had spent the night at a friend's house, as it was very common for her to do. Brooks claimed he had never heard from Crystal and assumed she was just blowing off steam. Crystal and Brooks had apparently even been having some serious relationship issues, and Crystal had even told her younger sister that she had gotten a new job and had planned to move out and break up with Brooks in the near future as soon as her new job started. was parked there, because even if she had a flat tire the night of July the 2nd, she'd had one at some previous point at night on the Bluegrass Parkway, and Crystal had driven for quite a ways with a flat tire. She even damaged the rim of her car a bit, just because she did not feel safe pulling over that late at night, and was always worried about, someone coming after her. So she drove until she was off the highway and in a well-populated place. So her family thought this was very, very weird. Like, she would not have just gotten out of the car to check a flat tire. And her family began to believe that possibly someone else had placed Crystal's car here on the Bluegrass Parkway. Crystal's family immediately went and reported her as missing to the police. The police began to search for Crystal, and her family was very heavily involved with their search efforts. However, they all found it odd when Brooks did not help assist in the search for his girlfriend. He basically just continued about his life as usual. The police decided to call Brooks in on July the 8th for questioning to see if he had any further information about Crystal's disappearance, since he was the last one to see her in bed playing games on her phone. Brooks began the interview, but midway through, Brooks's brother, who was named Nick, called him. Now, Nick was actually a police officer in Bardstown, and Nick told Brooks to stop answering their questions and to just up and leave. So Brooks did just that. The police continued to search for Crystal, believing that Brooks maybe did have something to do with it, especially since he was very uncooperative with the police at this point. At some point in time, Nick, Brooks's brother, who was that police officer, stopped being cooperative with the police as well, even though he was a police officer and worked for the department. Nick did agree to take a polygraph test, and the examiner said that Nick failed the polygraph. Nick was eventually fired from the Bardstown Police Department on October the 16th in the year 2015. Also on October the 16th, Brooks was officially named by the police as a suspect in Crystal's disappearance. Eventually, the police got a small break in the case. There was a white Buick that had been spotted. Now, Brooks and Nick, their family, owned a farm. This was not where they lived, but their family owned a farm, and Crystal was reportedly spotted there at the farm on the night that she disappeared, along with a white Buick. So this type of car was seen at their farm, the Hawks farm. The strange thing about this was that Brooks and Nick's grandmother, her name was Anna Whitesides. She owned a white Buick that she happened to have sold within just a few weeks of Crystal disappearing. Now, at this as he passed away in the year 2016. On November the 19th in the year 2016, Tommy was 54 years old at the time. He went to go do some hunting on his property. Now, Sherry and Tommy owned quite a bit of land, and so they could easily hunt on it. And Tommy went to go hunting with Crystal's eldest son, who was 12 years old at the time. When Tommy and his grandson went out hunting, Tommy suddenly fell over after being shot in the chest. Tommy's grandson was confused as neither Tommy nor himself, the grandson, had made any shots at all. Of course, the grandson alerted the police and they came out to find that Tommy had passed away. The police investigated and claimed that while Tommy's death could have been an accident, it also appeared as though his death could have been intentional as well. The police, after interviewing Tommy's grandson, realized he was not guilty of shooting his grandfather, and Tommy's gun had never been fired, which ruled out self-harm. So, after Tommy's death, Sherry, his wife, began to wonder if someone had intentionally shot at Tommy, since he was continuing to investigate his daughter's disappearance. Tommy, at one point in time, had told Sherry he felt as though he was being followed, and he could not figure out who was following him, but he did believe he was getting closer to breaking the case wide open in his daughter's disappearance. Sadly, no one knows who shot Tommy that day in 2016. In the year 2021, the police searched another area in Bardstown that could have possibly been related to Crystal's disappearance. The area that was searched was a neighborhood where Brooks's construction company had built several homes around the time that Crystal disappeared. The police announced later that a few items of interest were found, but still to this day we do not know exactly what that was. The police do believe they know who possibly caused Crystal to disappear. However, there's just not enough evidence at this time to convict anyone. I really do hope that the police get the evidence and the answers that they are looking for. The crazy thing is, also in Bardstown, there were 3 other murders as well. A police officer was murdered, and then a mother and her daughter. So I plan on covering those cases soon as well, but there is so much violent crime for this one small city that it seems so odd. I mean, this is just a really small town, and the fact, that Crystal disappeared, Tommy was murdered, and then these 3 other, that seems like